railroads forever changed the lives of Texans in the late 1800s. The way people lived and worked was never the same again. More people had come to live in Texas. Many of them were looking for ways to find their fortunes. Some of these people had a feeling there was something very special about the Texas land. That something turned out to be oil. What would it have been like to be at the very spot oil was first discovered in Texas? Read 10-year-old Nate's diary entry below to find out. January 10th, 1901. They did it! They finally drilled oil at Spindletop. Daddy said Mr. Higgins and Mr. Lucas weren't crazy like people said. There really was oil there. I saw it myself. Mr. Higgins and Mr. Lucas have been telling people for years that there was oil here under all the salt. The drilling was hard work for Daddy and the other men. There were lots of days when I didn't think he would go back again. What a lucky day for us all. It was my last day of winter vacation from school. Daddy told me I could go with him to the drilling site at the top of Spindletop Hill. The men were excited about drilling today. Mr. Lucas had told them their hard work would soon pay off. I was sitting off to the side watching the men work. Daddy told me I couldn't get too close. Sometimes the oil drilling made the ground underneath the men cave in. It was too dangerous for me, but I watched the men working hard. They were repairing some of the drilling equipment. Mr. Lucas yelled out for the men to start drilling down the hole again. Suddenly, I heard a lot of noise and confusion. Someone yelled, "Look at the mud bubbling up!" Without warning, that big drill pipe burst up out of the ground. Luckily, no one was hurt. The drillers all stood around looking confused. Then they started cleaning up the mess. They wanted to get the drill back into the ground as quickly as possible. I could hear the men grumbling. Some of them seemed frustrated. I know I could tell by the look on Daddy's face that he was not too happy either. Some of the equipment looked damaged again. This only made things worse. I started wondering if maybe people were right. Maybe it was impossible to dig through the thick sand to find oil. Maybe Mr. Higgins and Mr. Lucas were wasting time. But I had to believe my daddy. I know he believed they would find oil soon. I just wished something would go right. Suddenly, I jumped up as I heard a loud noise. It sounded like a gun had been shot off. The men ran back as mud and rocks burst out of the hole. The black earth flew high into the sky and rained back down on all the men. Within seconds, spewing and sizzling sounds could be heard as natural gas started up out of the ground. Then, without warning, it was raining thick black oil on us all. The river of oil rocketed into the sky. It seemed to go higher and higher. Oil gushed higher than the wooden derrick that helped the men lift heavy pipes and drilling tools. Daddy told Mama over dinner tonight that it shot about 150 feet into the air. The men were all covered with the green-black slime. Oil ran down their faces and into their eyes. They weren't upset, though. Everyone was cheering, yelling, and clapping. They had done it. Mr. Higgins and Mr. Lucas were right. There was oil right here in Texas.